I kept rehearsing my proposal speech in front of the mirror. Lily, from the moment I met you... No, too cheesy. I sighed. Lily, you've made me a better man. Better, I thought. Honest. Real. I checked the ring box again. The diamond caught the light like a promise. Tomorrow, everything would change. Ethan's right, I muttered. I'm nervous as hell. My phone buzzed. A message from him. Bro, come to the bar. Need to talk, urgent. I frowned. Now, of all nights? Still, he was my best friend. If he needed me, I'd go. I grabbed my jacket and drove out, humming to calm my heartbeat. The bar parking lot was half empty. I spotted Ethan's car, lights dimmed. Weird, I said under my breath. I walked closer. Music from the inside faded behind me, replaced by something else. Voices. Her voice. No one will find out, Lily whispered. My steps froze. My mind refused to connect the sound with her. I moved closer, slow, almost afraid to breathe. Ethan laughed softly. He's proposing tomorrow, you know that? I know, she said. But you don't understand, Ethan. He's safe, not exciting. You are. My hand trembled on the car door. My pulse was so loud I could barely hear them. He said, Lily, this is wrong. Then stop kissing me, she whispered. Silence. Then the sound of them kissing. I heard it. I felt it. Something shattered inside me, clean and final. I stepped back, trying not to make a sound. My breath hitched and my throat burned. Ethan's voice was low. You'll break him. He'll get over it, Lily said. He always does. Her words cut through me like glass. I turned and walked away. My legs felt heavy like I was walking through water. I reached my car, leaned against the door, and laughed, a sound that didn't sound human. I'll get over it? I muttered. You think so, Lily? The night was cold, sharp. I stared up at the sky, my reflection in the windshield trembling. My chest hurt so much I pressed my fist against it just to breathe. I unlocked the door, sat inside, and gripped the steering wheel. I wanted to drive back, to scream, to drag them out and make them see what they'd done to me. But I couldn't. Instead, I whispered to the empty car, don't give them the satisfaction. My phone lit up again, Lily's name flashing. I let it ring. Then Ethan's call followed. I let it ring too. Their betrayal replayed in my mind like a broken film reel. Her laugh, his voice, the sound of their lips. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to remember that feeling of absolute loss. Because someday, I wanted to remember exactly why I stopped believing in forever. When the phone stopped buzzing, I turned it off. Tomorrow, I said aloud. I was supposed to start my life. I looked at the ring box in my hand. It still gleamed perfect, untouched. Now it's just metal. I opened the door and stepped out again, the night air biting at my face. I wanted to scream her name, to ask why, but all that came out was a whisper. I loved you. The parking lot was silent except for the wind. I shoved the ring box into my pocket and started walking. My reflection followed me in the glass windows, pale and hollow. At the corner, I stopped, took one last look back at Ethan's car, and forced myself to walk away. That was the moment I knew something inside me had died. The man who loved her was gone, and the one who replaced him would never let her see him weak again. The sunlight hit my face, and I wanted to tear the day apart before it began. My phone buzzed nonstop beside me. 17 missed calls, I muttered. 3 voice notes. 10 messages. I pressed play once. Lily's voice filled the room, soft, desperate. I love you. Please call me back. I'm sorry if I said something wrong. I threw the phone onto the pillow. Wrong? I whispered. You have no idea. Downstairs, the smell of coffee greeted me, warm but hollow. My mother looked up. You're up early. Big day today? I hesitated. Not anymore, she frowned. You look pale. Did you sleep? Barely. I poured coffee, trying to act normal. She watched me too closely. Aaron, did something happen between you and Lily? The spoon clattered against the mug. Why would you ask that? Because you only stir your coffee when you're upset, she said softly. I forced a small smile. I'm fine, Mom. Just tired. Fine doesn't sound like that. I sighed. Please, not today. She studied me for another second, then nodded quietly. If you need to talk, I'm here. I nodded, grabbed my keys, and left. The drive to work felt endless. Every billboard, every love song on the radio, all felt like mockery. When I walked into the office, Ethan was already there, leaning over my desk like he owned the place. "Hey, man," he said cheerfully. "You look like hell." "Late night?" I froze for half a second. "You could say that," he smirked. "Don't tell me you got cold feet about proposing." My jaw tightened. "Why would you say that?" "Because you're acting weird. Lily texted me and said she couldn't reach you." "Yeah?" I said, pretending to type. "Guess I was busy," he laughed lightly. "Come on, you're not ghosting your fiancé, are you?" The word fiancé made my stomach twist. "Don't worry," I said flatly. "She'll get the message." Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe. But he covered it with a grin. "You sure you're okay?" "I'm great," he patted my shoulder. "You don't sound it." I turned to him, finally meeting his eyes. "Don't you ever get tired of pretending?" His smile faded. "What?" "Nothing." I stood, grabbing my bag. "Forget it." All day, his laughter echoed from across the room, and I kept replaying last night. Every sound, every breath. My mind refused to stop. By evening, I was home again, sitting in the dark. My phone buzzed once more, Lily calling. I ignored it. Then a knock on the door followed. I didn't move. The knocking grew louder. "Aaron, it's me!" Her voice. I closed my eyes. "Not now." She kept talking through the door. "Please open up. You're scaring me." I stood finally, walked to the door and opened it. She smiled instantly, relief flooding her face. "God, I thought something happened." "You haven't answered my calls." I stared at her. Not a word came out. She reached for my arm. "Aaron, talk to me." "What's wrong?" I looked at her hand touching me, the same hand that touched him. I stepped back. "Nothing's wrong," I said quietly. "Everything's clear now." She frowned. "Clear? What do you mean?" I gave her a long look. "You'll figure it out." Her lips parted, confusion spreading. "Aaron, you're scaring me." "Did someone say something?" "Did Ethan?" "Ethan," I repeated softly. "Yeah, he said enough." She blinked, searching my face. What are you talking about?" I shut the door before she could finish. Her voice echoed through the wood, pleading, confused, trembling. I leaned my head against the door and whispered, "You don't get to cry tonight." Inside, I was screaming. I stood outside Lily's house, a box in my hands, her things, her letters, the ring I never gave. My fingers tightened around the cardboard as I knocked. The door opened. But it wasn't Lily. It was her sister, Sophie. Her hair was loose, eyes calm, nothing like Lily's perfect chaos. She looked surprised. "Aaron, you okay?" I swallowed. "Just here to return some things." "She's not home," Sophie said quietly. "She's out with Ethan, I think." I almost laughed. "Figures. She noticed the box." "Want me to give it to her?" "No," I said quickly. "I'll wait." She hesitated. "You don't look like you should be waiting for anyone right now." I met her eyes, steady, kind, and honest. "Maybe I'm just bad at letting go." She opened the door wider. "Then at least come inside." "You look like you haven't slept." I stepped in. The air smelled like coffee and lavender, not perfume and lies. "Want some?" she asked. "Sure," I said, setting the box on the table. "I could use something strong." She poured a cup and sat across from me. "So, you and Lily, trouble?" I stared at the steam. "You could say that." She waited a moment, then said softly, "You found out, didn't you?" My head snapped up. "What do you mean?" Her eyes didn't waver. "About her and Ethan." The silence between us was heavy. "So you knew?" I asked. She sighed. "Not everything, but I guessed." "She's my sister, Aaron. She wants what shines, not what stays." I clenched my fists. "And you didn't tell me?" "She's family," she said, guilt flickering across her face. "But if it helps, I never agreed with what she did. I warned her she'd regret it." "She won't," I said bitterly. "People like her don't regret, they replace." Sophie looked down. "You really loved her, didn't you?" "I thought I did," I said. "Turns out I loved the idea of her, not the person." She nodded slowly. "That's how she makes people feel." "She made me feel small my whole life," I frowned. "You?" "She was always bragging about how perfect you were." She let out a sad laugh. "That's Lily's version of love, comparison and control. She can't stand not being the center." I leaned back, studying her face, calm, wounded, but strong. "You're not like her." "No," she said quietly. "I learned early that pretending doesn't fix anything." We sat in silence for a while, sipping coffee. The ticking clock filled the space where words used to matter. Finally, she said, "You shouldn't keep that box. It'll just keep you angry." I smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who's let go before." Her gaze softened. "Pain doesn't disappear, Aaron. You just stop feeding it." Something about her voice steadied me. For the first time in days, I didn't feel like drowning. When I stood to leave, she followed me to the door. "Thanks for the coffee," I said. "Anytime," she replied. "You don't have to go through this alone, you know." I paused. "You barely know me." "I know what heartbreak looks like," she said. "It's written all over you." I nodded. "Maybe I'll stop by again." Her smile was small, genuine. "Maybe you should." As I walked back to my car, I realized something strange. For the first time since that night, someone had asked if I was okay. And meant it. Sophie and I started talking almost every day after that. At first it was short and a few words, a few silences. Then the words turned into stories and the silences began to mean something else. That evening, she texted, "Can we talk? There's something I think you should know." I drove over. She opened the door before I even knocked. "You look tense," she said. "I've been tense since last week." She hesitated, then motioned for me to sit. "There's no easy way to say this." I raised an eyebrow. "Then say it anyway." Her voice was low. "Lily and Ethan. They've been seeing each other for months." I blinked. "Months?" She nodded. "Before your proposal plans. Before everything. People close to them. They all knew. I thought you did too." My heart thudded once, sharp and hollow. "Everyone knew?" She flinched. "Almost everyone. I didn't want to believe it until I saw them myself." I stared at the floor, my fingers curling into fists. "You saw them?" "In her car. Same night you found out, I think." She told me it was a mistake. "But Lily doesn't make mistakes. She makes choices." I laughed bitterly. "And I was just the fool who believed in her." Sophie's eyes softened. "You weren't a fool, Aaron. You were loyal." "Loyalty looks stupid when no one returns it." "Maybe," she said quietly, "but it also makes you human." I leaned back, exhaling slowly. So everyone knew I was being lied to. They watched me plan a future with her. They smiled. They said they were happy for me. "I didn't smile," Sophie whispered. I tried to warn her. "What did you say?" "That she'd destroy you." "She did," I said. "She just doesn't know it yet." Her gaze lifted. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," I lied. "I'm just done pretending to be the broken one." Sophie tilted her head. "You're not broken, Aaron. You're angry." "Same thing." "No," she said. "Anger means there's still something alive in you. Broken means you've given up." Her words sat heavy in the air. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, she reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. "You deserve better." I looked at her hand, steady, warm, unshaking, and something inside me cracked open. "You really think so?" "I know so." Her voice wasn't pity. It was conviction. For the first time in days, my chest didn't ache. It burned, clean and sharp. I smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time I stop being their victim." "What will you do?" she asked. I met her eyes. "Nothing loud, just something poetic." She frowned slightly. "Poetic?" "Yeah," I said, standing. "They took my love quietly. I'll take my peace the same way." Sophie watched me, worried and curious. "Aaron, I'm fine," I said. "Really?" But as I walked out into the night, I wasn't fine. I was focused. They thought I was broken. I wasn't. I was planning. The morning of the proposal, I stared at the velvet ring box on my desk. It still had her name etched into it. "Lily." I almost laughed. Sophie called. "Are you okay?" "Perfect," I said. "You free tonight?" She hesitated. "Why?" "I want you there." "At the restaurant. 7 sharp." "Aaron, that's..." "Please," I cut in. "Trust me," she sighed. "All right, I'll come." By evening, my reflection in the mirror looked like someone else. Calm, collected, dangerous in silence. The waiter smiled when I arrived. "Reservation for Aaron Blake?" "Yeah," I said, adjusting my tie. "For 4. When Lily walked in, she was glowing. Ethan followed, pretending he wasn't nervous. Sophie came last, hesitant. Eyes flicking between us all. Lily leaned toward me, whispering, "You're full of surprises tonight." "You have no idea," I said softly. We sat. Made small talk, empty laughter, hollow toasts. My mother had called earlier, asking if I was sure about moving forward. I'd told her I was certain. I wasn't lying. As dessert came, I stood up. "Everyone, can I have your attention?" The room quieted. Forks paused midair. Lily's smile widened, expectant. Ethan's hand brushed hers under the table. I saw it, and smiled. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the ring box. "I've waited a long time to do this," I began. "And tonight feels right." Lily's hand covered her mouth. "Aaron?" I knelt in but turned, toward Sophie. Gasps rippled across the table. Someone whispered my name. Sophie froze, eyes wide. "Sophie," I said, my voice steady. "You've shown me what honesty feels like, what kindness actually means. You remind me that love doesn't lie. So, will you marry me?" Her lips parted. "Aaron, what are you doing? Answer me." Tears filled her eyes. "This isn't..." Lily slammed her glass down. "Are you insane?" Ethan muttered. "Aaron, this isn't funny." I looked at him. "I wasn't joking when you decided to betray me either. Remember?" The room fell silent again. Sophie whispered, trembling, "You don't mean this." "I do," I said, my tone soft but sure. "More than I ever meant anything with her." Lily stood, voice shaking. "You're humiliating me." "No," I said, standing too. "I'm returning the favor." Sophie's hand trembled as I took it. "Please," I whispered. "Say yes." For a long moment, she just stared at me. Then, in the quietest voice, she breathed, "Yes." The word hit the room like thunder. Lily's smile vanished. Ethan's jaw locked. Cameras clicked, whispers spread like wildfire. I rose, slid the ring onto Sophie's finger, and looked right at Lily. "You always wanted what you couldn't have," I said. "Now you can watch it happen." Sophie's hand was shaking, but I held it steady. Inside, for the first time in weeks, my heart was still, finally steady, finally free. Lily's heels clacked against the floor as she stormed out, the restaurant door slamming behind her. Ethan followed, shouting my name, "Aaron!" What the hell was that? I didn't even turn. "You tell me." He grabbed my shoulder. "You've lost it, man." I met his eyes. "No, Ethan, I finally found it." He stared at me, speechless. Then he laughed, the same nervous, fake laugh I'd heard 100 times. "You think this makes you look strong?" "You look pathetic." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm not a liar." He cursed under his breath and walked out after Lily. The murmurs around us grew louder. Phones raised, whispers like tiny knives cutting through the air. Did he just to her sister? Unbelievable. I didn't care. The noise faded behind a calm I hadn't felt in weeks. Sophie sat still, her fingers brushing the edge of the table. "You shouldn't have done that." "Maybe not," I said quietly. "But I had to." Her eyes lifted. "To hurt her?" "To remind myself I'm still alive," she sighed. "That's not healing, Aaron." "Maybe it's the start of it." We sat there in silence as waiters avoided our table. The ring on her finger caught the dim light, a symbol of chaos, of closure, maybe both. When the crowd thinned, I finally stood. "Let me take you home," she shook her head. "I'll call a cab." "You need space," I hesitated. "Sophie." She looked at me with a sad smile. "I know it wasn't about love tonight. It was about letting go. I understand." Her words hit harder than I expected. "You didn't deserve to be dragged into this." "Maybe I did," she said softly. "Someone had to stop you from burning completely." I opened my mouth to reply, but she was already walking toward the door. Outside, flashes went off. Reporters, bloggers, whoever decided my humiliation was tonight's entertainment. Someone shouted, "Aaron Blake, are you really engaged to your ex's sister?" I ignored them. The night air felt heavy, thick with judgment. I drove home in silence, headlights cutting through the rain that had started to fall. When I walked into the house, Mom was waiting at the table, a cup of tea steaming beside her. She didn't ask. She just looked at me. "You saw it?" I asked. She nodded. "Everyone did. Do you think I went too far?" She took a slow sip. "Do you think you did?" I sank into the chair opposite her. "I don't know. Maybe I wanted her to feel what I felt, even for a second." Mom's eyes softened. "And did you?" I hesitated. "No, it didn't make it better, just quieter." She reached across the table, resting her hand over mine. Then maybe that's what healing sounds like. Not noise, not revenge. Quiet. I stared at her, realizing she was right. I don't love Sophie, I admitted. Not yet, she smiled faintly. You don't have to. But if she helps you heal, then heal. Just don't lose yourself again. For the first time since that night, I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, not peace, but a beginning. The first morning after the wedding, I woke to silence. Sophie was in the kitchen, humming softly. The scent of coffee filled the air, familiar but wrong. Morning, she said without turning. Morning, I muttered, rubbing my eyes. She placed a cup in front of me. Black, right? Yeah, thanks. We sat across from each other, pretending it was normal. It wasn't. You don't have to try so hard, I said finally. She glanced up. I'm not trying. I'm just... Here. I nodded, staring at the ring on my hand. It felt heavy, almost foreign. This isn't what you wanted, is it? No, she said honestly. But I said yes anyway. Why? Because someone had to stand beside you, she said softly. Even if it's in the wrong moment. I looked away. You shouldn't have to pay for her mistakes. I'm not paying. I'm choosing, she said. There's a difference. Days passed in uneasy rhythm. She cooked, worked, laughed with my mother. I stayed quiet, always half present. Whenever Sophie smiled, I saw Lily's reflection, the way she used to tilt her head, the sound of her laugh. It was like living in a house haunted by memories that refused to die. One evening, as the rain tapped against the windows, Sophie asked, Do you still think about her? I didn't answer. You do, she said gently. You look at me and see her shadow, I sighed. It's not fair to you. I know, she whispered. But I'm not asking for fair. I'm asking for honest. I leaned back in my chair. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her voice. Every time I breathe, I remember what she took from me. How do you unlearn that? You don't, she said. You live with it until it fades. Her calmness unnerved me. Why aren't you angry? You're living with a man who can't love you back. Because anger won't fix you, she said. And maybe love isn't about fixing broken people, and it's about sitting with them until they stand again. I stared at her, speechless. You make it sound easy. It's not, she said. But you can hate her without hating yourself. The words hung between us, heavier than silence. I don't know if I can, I admitted. Then start small, she said. Stop punishing yourself for what she did. I looked at her then, really looked. Her eyes weren't Lily's. They were warmer, steadier. She didn't pity me. She understood me. Something shifted inside, something fragile but real. Thank you, I said quietly. For what? For staying, I said. Even when you shouldn't, she smiled faintly. One day maybe you'll stay too. That night, as I lay beside her, the house didn't feel haunted anymore. The ghosts were still there, but for the first time, they didn't scare me. The headlines came first. Ethan Blake's firm under investigation for fraud. Then another. Lily Hart, fired after leaked emails. Exposed cover-up. I didn't smile when I read them. I just stared at the screen, the coffee in my hand turning cold, Sophie noticed. You've seen it? Yeah, you're not... Happy? I shook my head. No, karma doesn't need applause. She looked at me for a long moment. You really changed. Maybe I just stopped pretending, I said. Days later, it happened. The knock at the door I never thought I'd hear again. When I opened it, Lily stood there, drenched from the rain. Her mascara was running, her eyes red. Aaron, she whispered. Please, I didn't move. What are you doing here? I didn't know where else to go. You could try Ethan, I said flatly. She flinched. He's gone. He took the money and disappeared. He used me. I leaned against the doorframe. That's funny. Sounds familiar. Tears slid down her cheeks. I deserve that. I know I do. But I swear I didn't think he'd destroy you? I cut in. No one ever does. Until it's done, she sobbed. Please just let me in. I need to explain. I stared at her, the same woman I once planned forever with. But all I saw was the night she chose someone else. There's nothing to explain, Lily. She stepped closer. Aaron, please. You loved me once. I did, I said quietly. And it almost killed me. Her voice broke. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made a choice, she trembled. Can't you forgive me? Forgive you? I repeated. Maybe someday. But that doesn't mean I'll forget. Her eyes darted past me. Sophie's here, isn't she? She's my wife, Lily's voice cracked. You married her to hurt me, I shook my head. No, Lily, I married her to stop hurting. For a moment, she said nothing. The rain hit harder, soaking through her dress. You think she's better than me? She whispered. No, I said. She's just honest. That's enough. She covered her face. I don't know who I am anymore. You will, I said. When you stop blaming everyone else. Her hands dropped. So that's it? That's it, I said, closing the door halfway. You made your choice. So did I, her voice cracked one last time. Aaron, I didn't let her finish. The door clicked shut. Inside, Sophie stood at the hallway's edge. Silent. She's gone, I said. I know, she whispered. I exhaled, feeling neither joy nor anger, just a quiet end to something that once felt endless. Karma didn't need my help, I murmured. It never does. Sophie stepped closer. And now? Now, I said. I finally feel nothing. And somehow that felt like peace. Sleep wouldn't come. I stared at the ceiling, the shadows shifting like ghosts I couldn't silence. The rain had stopped, but my mind hadn't. Sophie turned beside me. You're still awake? Yeah, I whispered. Can't seem to shut it off. She didn't move closer, just watched me through the dim light. You're thinking about her, I hesitated. I'm thinking about everything. That's not an answer, she said softly. I sighed. It's not love. Not anymore. It's just the habit of pain. She nodded slowly. Pain becomes familiar. It tricks you into thinking you need it. Her words cut deeper than they should have. Maybe I do, I said. Maybe if I let it go, there's nothing left. Sophie reached for my hand, her touch gentle but grounding. Then maybe it's time to find out what's left. I stared at our hands, hers warm, mine trembling. You make it sound easy. It's not, she said. But you don't have to do it alone. The silence stretched, fragile but comforting. Finally, I asked, Do you think I'm cruel? No, she said. Just lost. I turned away. She begged for forgiveness, Sophie. And I didn't even feel angry anymore, just empty. That's what forgiveness feels like sometimes, she whispered. Not joy, not peace, just emptiness where the pain used to live. I looked at her. Do you forgive her? I don't need to, she said. She never hurt me. But I forgive you, my throat tightened. For what? For trying to heal through destruction, she said softly. For mistaking revenge for closure. Her honesty hit like a storm I didn't see coming. I thought revenge would make me strong. It only makes you tired, she said. Her words broke something in me, not my pride, but the wall I'd built around it. I didn't realize I was crying until she wiped the tears with her thumb. Hey, she whispered. It's okay, I shook my head. I'm not crying for her. I know. I'm crying for the man I used to be, the one who trusted too much, loved too fast, and didn't see it coming. Sophie smiled sadly. Then that means he's still in there somewhere. You just have to let him breathe again. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past loosen. Not disappear, but shift. Thank you, I whispered. For what? For staying when I didn't deserve it, she smiled faintly. You didn't have to deserve it. You just had to want better. That night, for the first time, I slept. Not peacefully, but honestly. I didn't expect to see her again. It was late afternoon when Lily appeared outside the cafe I often visited. Her hair hung limp, mascara streaked, and eyes hollow. She looked like someone who had been broken for a long time. I froze. Lily. She flinched. Aaron, I shook my head. Don't, she swallowed, voice trembling. I need to tell you something. I raised an eyebrow. Do I? I was pregnant once, she said quietly, with Ethan's child. My chest tightened, but I didn't speak. She continued, tears forming again. I lost it. I lost him. I lost my job, my friends, everything. And I should have chosen you. I looked at her. really looked, and saw the girl I once loved was gone. In her place was only emptiness. Maybe losing me was your karma, I said carefully, but I lost myself too. She flinched at my words. I never thought about how much I hurt you. I let out a bitter laugh. You think words fix everything? You think confessions change what's already done? She started, then stopped. You lied to me for months, I said softly. You laughed with him while I planned our future. You chose comfort over love. And now you stand here, asking for pity? I'm not asking for pity, she whispered. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I studied her, searching for remorse that didn't waver. What I found was fear, regret, and despair, all for herself, not for me. I forgive you, I said finally. Not for you, for me. She blinked. For you? Yes, I said. I can't carry this anger anymore. It doesn't make me stronger. It just keeps me chained to the past. Her lips trembled. Aaron, do you hate me? I don't, I said. But I don't love you either. Not anymore. She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. I deserved this. You did, I said. And I deserved better than to lose myself to someone who couldn't see me. Her shoulders sagged. I hope you're happy. I will be, I said, stepping back. And not because of revenge, not because of karma, but because I'm finally letting go. She looked at me one last time, eyes full of something between sorrow and understanding. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I exhaled, the weight in my chest lifting slightly. Forgiveness wasn't for her. It was for me. For the first time in months, I felt the past loosen its grip, and as I walked away from the cafe, I realized something profound. Letting go didn't make me weak. It made me free. I didn't look back. Months had passed. The world felt different now, lighter, softer. Sophie and I had fallen into a rhythm that wasn't forced, wasn't haunted by betrayal or regret. One morning, she laughed while spilling coffee on the counter. Aaron, watch it! I warned you, I said, reaching to wipe it up. You warned me like 100 times, she teased. I smiled genuinely, a feeling I hadn't allowed myself in a long time. And I'll warn you 100 more if it keeps you safe. Her eyes softened. You've changed. Not changed, I said. I've grown. Learned to stop carrying ghosts everywhere I go. She reached for my hand, intertwining fingers. I think we both have. I looked at her then. Really looked. The woman beside me wasn't a replacement. She wasn't a symbol of revenge or a consolation prize. She was something far better, steady, honest, and unwavering. You know, I said quietly, I spent months thinking about her, about everything I lost. I thought I'd never feel whole again. Sophie tilted her head. And now? Now, I whispered. I know I was never broken because of her. I was broken because I let someone else's choices define me. Her smile was soft, almost shy. And now you've decided to define yourself? I nodded, taking a deep breath. Yes, and part of that is you. She squeezed my hand. Aaron, you were never part of my revenge, I said, voice low but certain. You were my chance to start over. Her eyes glistened with tears. Start over? Yes, I said. Not because I needed justice, not because I wanted someone to replace pain, but because I finally realized I can love again, and it's not about anyone else. It's about us. She smiled, the kind that makes your chest tighten in the best way. I never wanted to replace anyone. I just wanted to help you see what love looks like when it doesn't hurt. I leaned closer, brushing her hair behind her ear. You've done more than that. You've shown me who I can be, who I really am. She looked at me, tears slipping down her cheeks, glimmering in the morning light. I'm not afraid anymore, I whispered. Of loving, of being loved, of letting go of the past. She laughed softly, a sound like sunlight breaking through clouds. And you trust me? Completely, I said, and I'll spend every day proving it. I pulled her close, and in that quiet embrace, I finally understood. Happiness wasn't the absence of pain. It was choosing someone to stand beside you anyway. I whispered into her hair, "Thank you for loving a broken man." She smiled through her tears. "And thank you for letting me love you." For the first time in years, I felt whole. I had become the man I was always meant to be. The morning air was sharp as I walked toward the pier, the same pier where I had once imagined asking Lily to spend forever with me. The wood creaked under my feet, memories echoing with each step. I held the old ring in my hand, its weight heavier than I expected. I stared at the horizon, waves crashing like reminders of all I had lost. "Goodbye, Lily," I whispered. The ring slipped through my fingers, glinting in the sunlight before disappearing beneath the waves. It didn't make me smile, but it made me breathe again. Something lifted, a small, quiet release. "You okay?" Sophie's voice came from behind me. I turned. She stood there, umbrella in hand, eyes concerned but soft. "I am," I said. "I think I'm finally letting go." She stepped closer. "It's been a long journey." I nodded, looking out at the endless water. "Yeah, I thought losing her would destroy me. I thought revenge would fix me. But nothing fixed me, until I stopped trying to fix the past." She reached for my hand, and I took it without hesitation. "And now?" "Now," I said, feeling the cold wind on my face and warmth in her grip. "I can breathe without remembering the hurt. I survived it all." Sophie smiled. "That's something." I chuckled softly. "It's more than something. It's everything I needed. Not to win, not to punish, not to be right, just to live." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "And you're ready to live with me?" "Completely," I said. "No shadows, no ghosts, just us." The sun reflected on the water, sparkling like tiny promises. I felt calm, not empty, not broken, just alive. I took a deep breath and looked down at our joined hands. "I survived," I whispered again. "And that's enough," Sophie pressed closer. "You don't need more than that." I shook my head, smiling for the first time in a long while. "No, I have more than enough. I have you, and that's more than I ever deserved." We walked back toward the city, the pier behind us, the waves carrying away the last traces of my pain. No victory, no defeat, just survival, and for the first time I felt truly free.